What's going on, guys? Band of the backyard here because there's a kid's birthday party going on. Miami Heat embarrassed by the New York Knicks. Just completely humiliated in the fourth quarter. Heroics from Jimmy Butler to kind of put lipstick on a pig in the third after things are going really bad. You finally look like you got your superstar putting on his cape. Can the guy go out and get 2 minutes of rest? Nope. Completely obliterated by the start of the fourth quarter. Comes in, try and make some kind of an effort, but Jalen Brunson just absolutely throttled Miami today. And the losing streak hits 6 in a row, something they haven't had since, I think, 2021. And, yeah, man, it's dire times right now in Miami. This is back-to-back games. This game was pretty competitive up until the fourth quarter. It wasn't like the Celtics game, which was basically drowned in the third quarter. But Miami just really felt like it was keeping its head above water. Miami actually came out rocking. Jimmy had a great start to this game and had a great end to the third quarter. Definitely the best physically and most engaged that he had looked offensively, defensively. But, I mean, really just could not get help from his two sidekicks in Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. And, Bam, I don't really know what the Heat strategy was with Bam today because, they didn't give him a lot of shots to begin with. And mind you, this was a Knicks team that did not have their starting center. Their backup center was banged up and Hartenstein. So I don't really understand what the Heat strategy was today and just barely paying attention to Bam outside of coming out of halftime and giving him a couple of looks. And then all of a sudden it was just, crazy-ass threes late in the shot clock. Haywood Highsmith chucking up, deep threes like he's Steph Curry. The team's just a wreck. But I think the biggest issue right now is, they can't stop a nosebleed. And that defensive backcourt with Terry Rozier and Tyler Hero is abysmal. Eric Spoelstra can come out and he can give a bill of goods of what Terry Rozier was defensively in Boston, and that's what he came up known as. And, yeah, he's got a lot of wingspan, and you can see the speed. You can see some of the places where he can get guys involved. But, I mean, Jalen Brunson completely took his lunch money. Now, Jalen Brunson made some tough shots on other guys. He had some tough shots on Caleb Martin today, who was all over him. He was getting tough buckets over even Jimmy Butler at the end of this game. But when it had Terry Rozier, I mean, he was like a dog in a pork chop. Like he was salivating and he was cooking and he absolutely destroyed the Heat as he has been doing against the Miami Heat basically since he's put on a Knicks jersey. He had a great series against Miami in the playoffs last year. And just a superb performance by Brunson today. He finishes the game 32 points, 12 of 22 from the floor, 4 of 8 from downtown. Absolutely sunk the game with a dagger three that basically ended this thing. He had the moment where this game really got out of it was there were a couple, but the one, Jimmy comes back in with 8 minutes left, and it's still staying around the 10 range. Jalen Brunson hits a floater. Jimmy gets a miss. Jalen Brunson come back. He hits a three, puts him up 16, and that was it. Game had gone to hell, and Miami just didn't have any kind of pushback. And I think that it's gonna be it's tough not to. They're gonna say all the right things. Spo's gonna say all the right things. I'm doing this. I'm not listening to Eric Spoelstra right now. I'm sure I will when I get the press conference and all that, and I'll listen back. But, they're going to say a lot of things about, putting their arms around each other. And there's just such a mechanism to this team that is broken right now. And it really just feels like it starts with the backcourt and where they can go from there and what they need to do to get this thing fixed. But until their top three guys, can play on the floor together and make things happen with each other because, not coincidentally, Jimmy Butler's best run of the game happened with, I think, Kevin Love, Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, and I think Jaime on the floor when that was all going on. in the third. Yeah, and I mean, and Jimmy was. It looked like Jimmy Butler. It looked like a guy we hadn't seen, and so, you're hopeful that maybe that tapped into something for Jimmy and he's going to have some pride and sick of losing, or, maybe this is just a cameo and we're not going to, but they need that Jimmy Butler. And I was hoping that was going to be the theme of today. You got exactly what I wanted to offensively from him today. He shot the ball 20 times, which was a team high for everybody. Got to the free throw line a good amount of times. He was active today. He was going for steals. He just had a really, really great performance. And, Bam just gives you, a solid 12 or 13. But it was like, don't really remember him making any big impactful defensive plays. And nobody really looked for him on offense. Everything was just felt, everything just felt like when they couldn't, if it wasn't Jimmy, you got a nice offensive game from Duncan today at certain times. But I tell you one thing, it looked like Duncan Robinson bet the over on OG Anunoby, who, took 2 steals from Duncan Robinson, basically assists. One he got fouled on, although he did double dribble. And then, and then just one that was just like to add to the insult to injury as that fourth quarter was going away. So he was bad. He did get Jaime Jaquez back today. He had probably the play of the game for Miami with his block. He had an awesome, awesome block on OG Anunoby. So it was great to get Jaime back. But, honestly, for me, just not enough of them. I feel like they got it. This guy is one of your best players. You can't make him an afterthought on this thing. I think, look, 6 losses in a row, everything's on the table for Miami right now. They've dropped to 24-22. They have a red-hot Phoenix team coming in. They've lost 6 straight. The Knicks have won 6 straight. You can't keep getting this performance defensively and think you're going to win playoff series. You can't. And, they're starting Haywood Highsmith. Is that making the impact that it needs to? They're small. They've taken Nikola Jovic out of the starting lineup. I don't feel like that's a positive thing either. Like, I really just, I don't know. I'm scrambling. I'm lost for answers right now. I'm hurt. Seeing the Miami Heat lose back-to-back games by 30-plus and 20-plus to the Knicks and Celtics is not good for my mental health. Not going to be good for Pat Riley's mental health either. Could give him an itchy trigger finger when it comes to making trades. Who knows? I don't know. Because, look, I don't want to make too much of what the Terry Rozier trade has been already. Because I see offensively, I see the things that can be good. I think he's fast. He can get to the rim. But, Spo sold this, bill of goods that the guy is good defensively. Like, oh, that's what he was known for. Oh, he was – dude, 5 years in Charlotte will kill you. It'll kill you as far as the effort you need to put in, because this dude looks like an absolute turnstile. And I realize it's Jalen Brunson, so it's probably as hard to cover as it is on the league, but I just felt like this dude is completely lost all over the place on where to be. And it's just kind of a microcosm of the team, because they looked outside of the end of that third quarter and the start of this game, they looked pretty disconnected. And Tyler, it's just look, you just need more from him. I don't know what to tell you. He put a couple of buckets at the end there to kind of make this game look good. I thought, he had his first couple of threes, felt like he was basically a torpedo for runs on this team. And, when the game got out of hand, he put a couple to make that line look a little bit better than it is with his 18 points. That was barely an 18-point performance as it was. He stunk up the joint today. Bam. Nobody was looking for him. But then when they did look for him, he had a couple of bad scenarios where he got the ball under the basket, couldn't get it in. Next, Knicks get a bucket. Precious Achiuwa then comes and forces a turn. Dude, Precious Achiuwa, every time he plays the Heat, his whole MO is if he plays his ass off, I think the guy could be an absolute menace. He doesn't enough. He's had plenty of coaches complain about him that he doesn't do that with Spo and Nick Nurse. I haven't heard what Tibbs has said about him. But, man, he is when he puts his mind to it, when he's just like the gritty, go after rebounds and go after – God, he's a pain in the ass to play against. And whenever it's Miami, it feels like that's the way that he goes against Miami. So just a complete disgusting performance by this team for these last couple of weeks. It's been awful. And they got everybody back now. They had high man Kevin Love. I think they both made some really nice stuff happen for this team, but they're lost right now, man. It's a lost franchise. Spo's got a lot of things he's got to figure out come Monday when the Phoenix Suns come to town. So, and you're going to wonder. I think Pat has always said, like, these things are in the 5-year runs, right? Like, it is, usually things if they're going to run their course. And, I think Bam's owed a big extension in the summer. Jimmy can get an extension in the summer. Tyler is just in the midst of a 4-year extension. What do they want? Do they want to, do this thing together, or are you gonna force the front office to make some kind of a move and just say that, hey, this whole thing has come to an end? Because if you play like this and you put this kind of a shit effort forth against the Celtics and the Knicks, why the hell should Pat Riley want to keep this together? Like, and I think the thing that's disappointing for Miami and the locker room and whatever they want to say is excuses or connecting together, they don't compete hard enough. They don't give the effort that a Heat team should give. The front office used Kyle Lowry as a scapegoat and said, okay, we're going to make this better for you guys. We're going to go get a guy who's younger, who can score, who can add some, because you guys don't want to go get buckets. And we'll make a move to it's not the best move they could have made. I mean, like, listen, this is a franchise that has been in a lot of trade rumors, and they have not made the home run hit in a long time. But they made a nothing for something move, and the players have rewarded them with just crap effort. Spurts, but not 48 minutes. Never. Too many end of quarters just ended disaster. Too many quarters where the other team hits a couple of buckets, they put their head down because they want to, some guy wants to make an extra fancy-ass pass, and it just turns into a complete meltdown for them. There's no small mistakes with this Heat team anymore. Every snowflake mounts into an avalanche. Every pebble just turns into a landslide. It's just a complete train wreck right now. And it's I don't know. I don't know what can get them out of it. I don't know what can get them out of it right now. It doesn't happen until your top 3 guys can all have a good game together. Until Bam, Jimmy, and Tyler can figure out why in God's name they can't get on the same page with each other, or pick each other up when one guy's resting, they're not going to go anywhere. And this can get ugly. It's like Jimmy said, like it could. It's bad right now, but it could get a whole lot worse because the games aren't going to get any easier.